All right, all right. It's my Legally Blind Journal, number 45, believe it or not. And yeah, um, been a week of working through the migraine struggle and trying to do a little better on that here and there, and a day or two of a little better, and some have not, and can definitely contribute some of that to pushing too hard. If people need help, I'm hard. It's hard for me to say no on stuff, and I've got to learn to say not right now more than I do. That's for sure. Because man, I push through the brakes, and it's worse. I'm not saying the brakes fix everything, because they don't, but it's a lot worse if I don't try and take care of myself. So. Note to self: don't be so stupid. Try and take care of yourself. But beyond that, still waiting on those glasses to try that out. Just working on the brakes right now to try and manage the migraine side of this. And beyond that, it's normal things. I will say I can't speak for everybody, obviously, that's going through a visual acuity problem, a blindness issue. I can't speak for myself in that it's a constant reminder, and it needs to be, to stay positive, to not let things get you, don't get frustrated, things like that with stuff that didn't used to be an issue, So if you've always been the driver, being the passenger is, at least for me, not easy. And I just constantly have to remind myself to provide grace and to keep my bloody mouth shut. And sometimes I'm successful in those endeavors, and sometimes I'm not. And I try really, really hard to just keep reminding myself of that. It's not like you achieve, okay, I'm good now. No, you kind of have to keep working at this stuff. It's one of those things where I'd love to say that I don't get frustrated about the fact that I'm trying to build a chicken coop right now, and on the weekends and the nights, and I'm coming up, a little short on materials, and hardware store is only 5 miles down the road, and a year ago, maybe a little more now, but basically a year ago, I'd have jumped in the truck, drove down there, got what I needed, been back on the job site in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and keep it on. And now I have to order and pay delivery fees. And so the planning piece is even more important than it used to be, and I am still getting used to that. I'm not going to say I'm not. And I've gotten to where, if I come up short a few boards, I go ahead and order quite a bit more than what I thought I was going to need, because it's tough to absorb the delivery charge in the first place, ego-wise. Never having done that. I always just got my stuff. But also, financially speaking, you're like, well, if I mess this up again, the cost of the projects just keep going up and up. So better to have materials left over. And so I guess where I'm going is the value of the waste products at the end. It's different. My goal used to be to have zero waste in a project. And now my goal is to lower the delivery fees. And that's all related to just not being able to drive. And that's a big factor in it, And there's a lot of micro frustrations that happen throughout a day, and that's one of those things where I have to keep circling back to, reminding myself that, it could always be a lot worse. And so I'm not down about it, but you could easily become down about it if you don't keep working at it. And it is a daily struggle. A while back, I would have thought, or would have possibly said, you get there, it's like you get to that point, and then you're plateau and you're good. And you get to that point, you plateau and you're good. That's not what I'm really experiencing. After a year of this, what I'm experiencing is you get to that point, and then you have to remind yourself how you got there. And sometimes it's on a daily basis, and sometimes it's a little less regular. But you have to remind yourself, okay, I got here by looking at the positive, by shaking off the negative, by realizing that I'm getting these micro frustrations that build into a volcano, and getting and dealing with those so that doesn't happen. And it's a constant process, and then learning how to do the old things in a new way. I mean, it's, sometimes that's painful. I mean, if you want to keep doing it, like, for instance, I'm putting up a fence right now, and, in the past, I'd simply put a staple up and whack away at the hammer. It doesn't work so well if you can't tell where things are at and if everything's fuzzy. So I have to put the staple up and micro tap on it, very, very small, not a big hit. And I'm hitting my fingers, quite frankly, a decent amount. But it's a small micro tap, so it doesn't feel good. But I'm not going to break a finger. I can't take a big whack at it anymore. It's adjustments like that, and that you're sitting there going, man, this staple takes 3 times longer to put in than it used to, and I'm smacking my fingers, almost every time a little bit. And so you can get very frustrated with the fact that you have to make that adjustment. And the reality is, the frustration of that doesn't help. It doesn't make it doesn't make it a positive situation. It makes it more negative. So you just got to sit there and remind yourself, hey, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm able to do it. I have to do it differently, but it definitely could be so much worse. And for me, that's enough, and that shifts my mindset, and generally pushes away those voices, those negative feelings, or whatever you want to call it. Makes that all go away, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm getting this done. And it's okay that it takes longer, and that's a big piece here. The being okay with something it's hard, man, especially if you're super type A and perfectionist and all those things. And I would imagine it's probably hard for anybody, but especially if you're like that. I was up 2 o'clock this morning. I was out measuring for wire that I know the measurements are going to be wrong. So I added literally an additional 20 inches to the measurements. And yes, that's going to create waste. But if I don't, it's going to create more waste, because I'm going to have 19 foot of wire that I have to, that isn't long enough. And that's definitely not not something I would have done before that way. But you got to just keep reminding yourself, man, it is what it is. Lucky to be alive, walking this earth. And Jesus has a plan for it, and God does, and it's just keep on keeping on, keep on smiling, because at the end of the day, the alternative sucks. So you might as well keep a smile on. And that's what I just keep trying to remind myself. And that really does make a big difference. Just trying to keep a smile on, trying to not let those small frustrations throughout the day boil into a volcano. And just try not to read stuff, and think outside of the box when I can, save my eyes. For instance, you got to think about things differently. Like, I know this wire, I'm going to do 20 foot. Well, rather than using a tape measure every time, which is I'm not very accurate, because I can't really see where the things are. My depth perception's shot, and half time I'm off by an inch. So what did I do? I looked at my environment and went, well, the barn has a 20 foot by 20 foot slab, which means on the front outside edge where the concrete goes out, if the wire starts at one end, I cut it at the other, it's 20 feet. So I'm not going to have to read a tape measure. And, I cut plastic chains to certain lengths and things like that. And that helps. It makes a difference and reduces, the pain, the migraines, and all those things that come from the focus and the reading and the concentration of things. So, big takeaway for me is I got to keep reminding myself, don't let the frustrations build. Find a solution that works, i.e., lay the wire out on the concrete, cut it from that. Take my breaks as much as I can, manage the migraines as much as I can, and continue on with a positive attitude. And those are the things that I'm really, I'm talking to myself on that, I know, but maybe somebody else needs to hear it. And wallowing in that self-pity, it does not solve anything. And we all dip down there every once in a while. The trick is dip down there for 5 minutes, realize you're doing it, and shake that crap off. You'll be a lot better off. All right, well, until next time, we'll keep on rocking and rolling. And for the next week or so, I'm going to try and manage my breaks, manage my concentration level, manage my usage of my eyes, focus levels, see if we can knock back these migraine days. All right, y'all be good.